Hello, my friends, and welcome back.
Yeah.
What happens when a fat activist tries to get an anti-weight discrimination act passed? Today, we're going to be taking a look at a clip where FatFabFeminist is trying to do just that. We're also going to be taking a look at a couple of bonus clips. Now we can see the consequences of what happens when you allow fat activism to run wild. Let us waste no time and dive right in with the applying of comb to mustache. I spoke in front of City Council in support of Anti-Weight Discrimination Act. Okay. Looks like you got yourself a nice fancy lawyer there too in the middle.
My name is Victoria. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity.
You can tell that he's fancy because he's pouring a drink. A good lawyer always starts to pour a drink when you're in the middle of speaking.
I just graduated from college in New York this past year, and while I loved my New York experience, I couldn't help but compare it to the experience of my peers.
Okay, so you just got done graduating college, and you can't help comparing your experience to that of your peers. It's kind of weird, man. You just graduated college, and the first thing you can think of is, you know what? Other people had a better experience than me.
People walking past me with their quick New York stride, hearing the snide comments about how I walk too slow and I take up too much space on the sidewalk.
Ma'am, what is the point of this display? I don't get it. While it was great graduating from college and everything, people used to make fun of me sometimes. We need to pass some laws about this. How bizarre. You would think that you would just be happy because you graduated from college, right?
The quick sideways glances as I enter the bus.
Okay, we need to pass laws that nobody's allowed to look at her sideways. Is that where this is going?
Bags placed on the seat next to them, their biggest fear being touched by fat flesh.
What? Dude, how do you know what anybody's biggest fear is? You literally just projected all that stuff onto all these other people that are just chilling on the bus. You don't know what their biggest fear is. Maybe their biggest fear is sharks. You don't know.
Forcing my body through the turnstiles at the train station, turning sideways just to barely squeeze through those metal bars.
Okay, so we need bigger turnstiles and we need to enact legislation that nobody's allowed to look at you. Gotcha.
Having to contact the Center for Disabilities at my school requesting a special accommodation for a desk capable of containing my body.
And this is all our fault. We need to change the whole world because you couldn't fit in the desk. Oh my goodness. Okay.
My choices being sit at the special desk at the back of the class, serving as a reminder to the room that I don't fit,
or suffer in silence. Nobody made you gain enough weight to where you can't fit into the desk anymore.
Suffer in silence, wood digging into my side, hoping that I remember the lecture, because at that angle there's no way I would get a pen to paper.
Okay, so once again we're getting a bunch of weight-based problems, and our solution is not to lose weight, but to change the entire world to suit larger people. Dude, come on. If you can't fit in the desk anymore, the desk needs to change, bro? Come on.
Something as simple as being able to sit in my seat and take notes like my peers, I did not have the privilege of doing.
Privilege? So if I bash myself in the legs with a hammer, should I go around calling everybody else privileged because they didn't do that? I wouldn't really call it a privilege that everybody else can fit into the desk if they didn't eat themselves into not being able to fit into the desk. I'm sick of all these people with sober privilege, dude.
I had to get accommodations because my school didn't once consider my needs.
Dude, why does the school need to consider your needs? You need to consider whether or not you fit into the desk and how you are going to correct the problem. So the solution is to make bigger desks and change the entire world so people living in a larger body can still fit in it. And where do we draw the line? We're going to make desks that can accommodate somebody up to 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 800 pounds? How are normal people going to fit into those desks now? Every time you supersize infrastructure to fit around an obese person, it no longer fits for a normal-sized person, and the normal-sized person didn't do anything to deserve to not fit in the desk. If you keep disabling yourself because of your own actions, what do you want the rest of the world to do for you?
I was put at a disadvantage. I wasn't the only student that couldn't fit in those seats. I was just one of the few that knew I deserved better and asked for it.
Are you sure you weren't the only one that couldn't fit in the seats? How many people besides you couldn't fit in the seats?
I am consistently doing little things every single day to survive in a city that does not take fat people into consideration.
You can do simple little things every day to contribute to your overall well-being and health.
I'm reminded every day that this world, this city that I love so dearly, is built without my body in mind.
Morbidly obese people didn't exist a couple hundred years ago when the city was built. Of course. Morbid obesity is a modern invention because of highly processed and addictive food. And that should be all the proof that you need that being obese is bad for you, right? Because people weren't even obese a couple hundred years ago. It wasn't even possible to become obese a couple hundred years ago. Not morbidly obese anyway. You really had to work at it if you were eating regular food to get to that size.
And that's what's so insidious about anti-fatness.
It's anti-fatness that they didn't make a desk that was large enough to accommodate somebody living in a larger body, even though morbidly obese people didn't even exist back then. Gotcha. They should have seen the future and known that one day people would eat a bunch of highly processed food and become morbidly obese. How dare they?
It's everywhere. Sometimes it's not even malicious, it's just in the little things that you would never even notice if you aren't fat. But for people like me, I live my life taking extra steps, making the necessary accommodations.
You live your life taking extra steps. Well, if that were the case, we wouldn't be in this problem, would we?
Just to survive.
You make special accommodations just to survive. You can't fit in the desk. Nothing is designed for you, etc. And none of this you see as a warning sign that would lead you to change your entire life. Okay.
Every time I squeeze my body into a chair or turnstile that is clearly made for a different body, a smaller body, I'm reminded that I am not considered.
If you can't fit in the chair because of stuff that you keep doing, that's a you problem that should be corrected at the base level, which is you.
I feel like an intrusion, an inconvenience, like I don't belong here.
Who wrote this for you?
Passing this bill tells fat people that we aren't alone.
Right, we don't need to pass any new laws centered around protecting obese people. How can you pass legislation for and protect people that don't even care about themselves? Right, in order to get help, you have to want to help yourself. Hey guys, I just keep bashing myself in the leg with a hammer. Give me special accommodations. But you just keep on doing it. We gave you special accommodations last time, and then you bashed yourself in the leg with a hammer again, called yourself disabled, called the rest of us a bunch of ableists, and then started playing the victim. But you bashed yourself in the leg with the hammer.
We're not unwanted, and having the government behind us makes sure that we'll no longer feel as though we're a mere inconvenient afterthought. Thank you.
Having the government behind you. Yeah, let's not pass any sort of anti-fatness legislation. What does that mean? We won't be allowed to question somebody because of their own personal decisions anymore? We shouldn't allow this new law to be passed because it's a slippery slope. If we're not allowed to talk about the reality of the situation when it comes to somebody's weight, what else? What else is next? You can't say, hey Mark, maybe you shouldn't be an alcoholic. Hey Susan, maybe you should stop drinking nonstop all day every day. Eventually, you're not going to be allowed to reference reality at all. The next couple of bonus clips are unrelated to the first. Let's go. Alright, here's one of my favorite creators, More Than Tracy T.
My boyfriend's new apartment hates fat people.
His apartment hates fat people. His inanimate apartment hates fat people.
This is the kitchen. This is the fridge. Oh, let's go. Oh, it opens from the other side.
Oh, well, that's moronic.
Oh, can't fit here.
Oh, Tracy T.
Oh, every time you want to go to the fridge. So I can't.
I like that. The fridge is making sure that you're not too large to be getting into the fridge. It's almost like one of those height measurements to get on a roller coaster, right? It's like you have to be this tall to get on the roller coaster. This refrigerator is like, you have to be this thin to remove food from me. It's a self-regulating device.
That's what we could do is we can just like open it the other way, right? And then sneak in while it's open. Here we go.
Oh, denied.
Oh! Every time you want to go to the fridge. Every time you want to go to the fridge.
Those fridge manufacturers and the apartment creators knew exactly what they were doing.
You have to be reminded of how fat you are. This apartment hates fat people.
Every time I go to get a piece of pie out of the fridge, it's reminding me that I shouldn't be having a piece of pie out of the fridge.
This is an apartment in LA. LA is fatphobic. And every time you go to the fridge, it calls you fat. It makes it harder for you to get to the fridge.
I like it. I respect it. That fridge is just trying to help us all out here.
That is fatphobia in its purest form. I rest my case.
I agree. That is fatphobia in its purest form. a concentrated form of fat phobia that you can't use directly on fabric. Next.
Lately, I've been really noticing the ways that thin people will use fat as an insult for select people that they already think are bad. Like with Donald Trump, people would make fun of his weight all the time, and fat people were like, hello, he's not gonna see that, but all your fat friends are, and we're gonna know exactly what you think of us.
Okay, so if you make fun of Trump for being fat, he's not gonna see it, but all your fat friends are, and they're gonna be like, what the heck? I didn't realize you hated fat people this much. Okay, this is an interesting take.
But that didn't even occur to thin people because they don't think of their fat friends as being the bad fat people
That's right. My fat friends are the good ones.
They like to make fun of. They use fat only on people they think are already bad because to them, fat means bad.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure that people weren't just insulting him because he was fat and they didn't like him? So they're like, you know what? This guy is fat too, so let's get him.
So they only use it when they feel like somebody deserves it. This is also why a lot of times when you are fat, people in your life who are hitting on you, being nice to you, being your friends, if you do something to piss them off, or if you ask them to treat you better, they will be like, yeah, f*** you fat bitch.
Dang, are you sure about that? Is that really how your friends treat you? Yeah, so I was wondering if you guys could treat me a little bit better. I know that I'm overweight and everything, but you guys calling me a fatty, fat all the time and making fun of me for my weight, it's really starting to hurt my feelings. Oh yeah, is that a fact, Susan? You know, I never knew that it was bothering you like that. Fuck you, you fat bitch. Man, you need to get some new friends.
They will use your size as a weapon when they feel that you deserve to have that weapon used on you.
When they feel that you deserve to have that weapon used on you. Okay, well, you know, we all have insults that we can use against each other, and sometimes when we get upset, we use them, right? Like, you know that your friend Tim has some issues around his height or whatever, so when you're really angry, you'll be like, shut up, short Tim, you idiot.
Now, there are some people who feel that all fat people, by virtue of their fatness, deserve to have fat used as a weapon on them.
No friendly fire.
And those people are all over my comment section. I think we all know who they are. But the thing is, fat is not a weapon. It's just a word. It's just a word that describes a body.
Okay, so people need to stop weaponizing the word fat and use it in a warm, neutral way, right? Like, man, you sure are looking fat.
But when it's used as a weapon, that gives it so much power.
I used the word fat as a weapon one time and I robbed a liquor store. Did I ever tell you guys that story? How I went into a liquor store one time and used the word fat as a weapon to rob the joint? At first I came in using it neutral. I'm like, yo, what up, fatties? And then I was like, all right, put the money in the bag or I'm going to call you fat in a mean way. Tubby Tubberson. And then they were like, all right, man, all right, just take the money. Just don't call me fat in a negative way. I don't think I could handle it.
So I call myself fat, and I am fine if people call me fat, like, neutrally in conversation.
Ah, see, you gotta say it neutrally.
But if somebody calls me fat as a weapon...
As a weapon. Dude.
Yeah, I will be offended, because you're being an asshole.
Okay, so I can call you fat in a warm and neutral way, but not as a weapon. Gotcha. Alright, everybody be cool, this is a robbery. If any of you make a noise, I'm gonna use fat as a weapon on each and every one of you. Whoa, 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 fatty, sit down. And then the person getting up sees you use the word fat as a weapon and they're like, oh crap, he's serious, we better sit down and do what he says. It's all about the look on your face when you say it, right? You're like, hey, how's it going, fat? That is fine, that's a neutral way of saying it. But if you're like, hey, how's it going, fat? That's using it as a weapon. Gotcha. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.